Welcome to Awakened Calm. Have you ever noticed that even when your body is still, your mind keeps racing as if it were on a treadmill you never asked to step onto? You lie down at night, lights off, silence around you, yet your thoughts keep chasing each other like restless children who refuse to go to bed. You wake up in the morning and instead of feeling refreshed, you feel like you never stopped running. This endless race has become so normal in our modern lives that we hardly question it anymore. But what if I told you that the very peace you are searching for has been waiting for you all along, quietly present in this very breath? In today's fast-moving world, we have been trained to believe that happiness lies just beyond the next goal, the next achievement, the next trip, the next purchase. We chase deadlines and dreams, we scroll through feeds filled with curated perfection, and we measure our worth by the speed at which we keep up. Yet beneath all this noise, there is an ancient truth that whispers the opposite. You do not need to get anywhere else to feel whole. You are already standing on the doorstep of the peace you crave. You only need to stop running long enough to notice it. This message may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, especially for those of us raised in cultures where busyness is worn like a badge of honor. In North America and across much of Europe, productivity is celebrated as the ultimate virtue. If you are not rushing, people assume you are falling behind. But deep inside, there is a part of you that knows this constant motion is unsustainable. It knows that the endless striving is not what your heart longs for. What your heart wants most is to arrive to feel at home, to finally rest in the safety of this very moment. Imagine this for a moment. You are not running late, not replaying the past, not forecasting the future. You are simply here, breathing. No pressure to perform, no need to achieve, no mask to wear. Just the quiet relief of being alive, exactly as you are. Can you feel how radical that sounds in a culture that constantly demands you to be more? And yet this is where true healing begins. Not in another self-help book, not in the next career milestone, but in the act of surrendering to now. Over the course of this journey, you will discover practices so simple a child could follow them, yet so profound, they have transformed lives for centuries. You will learn what it means to stop, not just physically but emotionally, to step off the mental treadmill and reclaim the space where your body and mind can finally move together in harmony. The invitation is not to escape your life but to experience it more fully with a depth of presence that modern culture has almost forgotten. So take a deep breath with me. Feel your shoulders soften, your jaw unclench, your thoughts begin to slow. You do not need to go anywhere. You do not need to become someone else. You have already arrived. Welcome to the beginning of a journey home to yourself. Central concept: stopping to come home. The first and perhaps most revolutionary lesson on this path is the idea of stopping. Stopping does not mean failure. It does not mean laziness or avoidance. Stopping means you finally allow yourself to rest inside the very life you are already living. For many of us raised in the West, the concept feels almost alien. We equate stillness with wasted time. We see pauses as obstacles to progress. But stopping in the Buddhist sense is not about doing nothing. It is about discovering the fullness of being when you are no longer running away from yourself. When you stop, you create the possibility of returning home. Home in this sense is not a physical address, not a house in the suburbs or a cabin in the woods. Home is the place within you that does not need to prove anything. It is the center of your being, the quiet awareness that has been present through every high and low, every victory and defeat. Coming home means realizing that beneath all the noise, beneath all the striving, there is a ground of safety already waiting for you. To understand the depth of this, imagine for a moment a sunset. The sun does not rush to prolong its light. It does not resist the coming of night. It simply descends, painting the sky with colors, and then yields to the darkness. There is no anxiety in its rhythm, no fear that the day will never return. In that effortless surrender, there is beauty. That is the invitation of stopping. It is the art of surrendering without fear, the recognition that life has its own natural pace, and you do not need to constantly interfere with it. Stopping does not mean retreating to a monastery or cutting yourself off from the world. It means shifting your relationship with the world you already inhabit. You can stop while drinking your morning coffee, while standing at a crosswalk, while waiting for your computer to boot. Stopping is not limited to a meditation cushion. It is a choice available in every moment, a choice to step out of automatic reaction and into conscious presence. This is why the phrase, "I have arrived, I am home," carries so much power. Each time you say it silently to yourself, you remind your racing mind that you are not missing your life. You are already here. You do not need to keep running to be worthy. You do not need to keep performing to be loved. You have arrived, and in that arrival, you are finally home. For centuries, teachers of mindfulness have noticed that the human mind has a habit of constant running. We run toward pleasure, hoping to catch it before it slips away. We run away from pain, terrified it will overwhelm us if we let it near. We run after approval, convinced that our value depends on what others think. We run from loneliness by drowning ourselves in distractions. But this running never brings peace. It only feeds the illusion that peace is somewhere else, always just beyond reach. Stopping cuts through that illusion like sunlight dissolving fog. One of the deepest truths is that we do not only run from our fears, we also run from our joys. Think of the times when happiness touched you, perhaps holding your child for the first time, hearing a song that moved you to tears, walking along a beach at dawn. For a brief moment you felt complete. Yet almost immediately a thought arose: how long will this last? What if I lose it? The fear of impermanence made you run even from the beauty already in your hands. Stopping teaches us to embrace even the fleeting nature of joy, to savor it fully while it is here without trying to possess it, without letting the fear of losing it rob us of the present. In practical terms, stopping begins with awareness. Notice the speed of your thoughts. Notice the tension in your body. Notice how often you are leaning into the next moment instead of resting in this one. When you catch yourself racing, pause. Take a breath. Whisper to yourself, "I have arrived." Let the breath carry you back to this moment, like an anchor grounding a drifting ship. Each time you return, you build the muscle of presence, a muscle far more essential than any physical strength because it supports every other part of your life. When you truly stop, something remarkable happens. You realize that you are not defined by your accomplishments or your failures. You are not defined by your productivity, your bank account, or the number of people who approve of you. You are defined by the fact that you are here, alive, breathing. That is enough. The home you have been seeking is not a destination you can drive to. It is the awareness you bring to the step you are taking right now. This realization can be unsettling at first. Many of us rely on busyness to avoid facing ourselves. If we keep moving, we do not have to confront our fears, our regrets, our doubts. Stopping strips away those defenses. It invites us to sit face to face with our raw humanity. That is why some people resist it. They would rather stay caught in the storm of activity than risk the silence that might reveal their inner wounds. But it is only in that silence that true healing can begin. By stopping, you allow yourself to finally see what needs attention. You let the unhealed parts of you rise to the surface, not so they can drown you, but so they can breathe at last. Consider a glass of muddy water. If you keep stirring it, the water remains cloudy, impossible to drink. But if you set the glass down and let it be still, the sediment slowly sinks to the bottom and the water clears on its own. The same is true of the mind. As long as you keep agitating it with constant activity, it never clears. Only when you stop and allow stillness to settle does clarity emerge. Stopping is not about forcing clarity. It is about allowing it to reveal itself naturally when you create the conditions for peace. Western culture rarely rewards stopping. From a young age, we are trained to compete, to achieve, to prove our worth through external measures. Children are praised for accomplishments rather than presence. Adults are valued for output rather than balance. Retirement is presented as the first chance to rest, and even then, many feel guilty for slowing down. The tragedy is that by postponing rest, we postpone life itself. The practice of stopping challenges this cultural narrative. It tells us that life is not waiting at the end of the race. It is happening here and now, in each breath, in each step, in each simple moment. This practice also demands a shift in how we relate to time. In the Western mindset, time is a resource to be managed, optimized, and spent wisely. We often say time is money. But from the perspective of stopping, time is not something you spend. It is the very fabric of your life. To treat it as a commodity is to reduce your existence to a transaction. Instead, when you stop, time becomes spacious. A single moment expands, and within it you find enoughness. You no longer need to rush to the next thing because you are no longer trapped in the scarcity of time. You rest in the abundance of the present. Imagine walking through a forest at dusk. If you are rushing, you barely notice the details. Trees blur together. Birdsong becomes background noise. The scent of earth and leaves never reaches you. But if you stop even for a few breaths, the forest reveals its richness. You notice the veins on a leaf, the call of a single bird, the coolness of the air against your skin. Nothing in the forest has changed. The only difference is that you stopped. The same is true of your life. When you stop, you begin to notice the beauty that was always there but hidden by your hurry. Coming home through stopping also means reclaiming your body. Many of us live as though our bodies are vehicles dragging our minds from one task to another. We neglect the signals of fatigue, ignore the whispers of hunger, override the need for rest. Stopping invites us to listen again, to feel the rhythm of our breath, the weight of our body against the chair, the beating of our heart. These simple sensations ground us in the present and remind us that we are not machines. We are living beings meant to inhabit this moment fully. Another dimension of stopping is the release of expectations. Often our suffering comes not from what is happening, but from what we think should be happening instead. We carry heavy expectations about ourselves, about others, about the future. These expectations keep us running, always trying to catch up to an imagined life. Stopping teaches us to set them down, to meet life as it is, not as we wish it to be. This does not mean giving up on dreams or goals. It means not letting them rob us of the life already unfolding beneath our feet. At its core, stopping is an act of trust. Trust that the world will not collapse if you pause. Trust that your worth is not tied to your speed. Trust that peace is not somewhere else, but right here. This trust is radical in a society that tells you to earn every ounce of value, to chase every opportunity, to maximize every moment. But once you taste it even briefly, you realize it is the trust you have been longing for all along. It is the trust of being at home in yourself. You may be wondering how to practice this in real life. The answer is simple, though not always easy. Begin with your breath. Take one conscious breath in and out. Say silently, "I have arrived. I am home." Then return to whatever you are doing, but with the awareness that you do not need to be anywhere else. Practice this whenever you remember. The more you repeat it, the more natural it becomes. Soon you will notice that even in the midst of busy days, you can stop inwardly, even if only for a breath. And in that breath, you come home. Stopping is not a luxury. It is not reserved for those with free time or spiritual training. It is a necessity for anyone who wants to live rather than merely survive. Without stopping, life passes by in a blur of unfinished tasks and unmet expectations. With stopping, life opens in richness and depth. You begin to see that every ordinary moment carries the extraordinary gift of presence. The act of stopping transforms your relationship with time, with yourself, and with the world. It is the doorway to peace that has been waiting for you all along. The 4 states of body and mind. Living presence in every posture. If stopping is the doorway to peace, then the next step is learning how to live inside that peace in every posture of life. Our bodies are not separate from our awareness. They are the vessels through which awareness finds expression. Too often we treat the body as a tool, something to carry the mind from one place to another, something to command and discipline, rather than listen to and honor. But the body is not simply a servant. It is also a teacher, perhaps the most patient teacher you will ever have. By bringing presence into the 4 basic states of the body, sitting, standing, walking, and lying down, you can transform every ordinary moment into a living meditation. Sitting, finding stillness, without escape. Let us begin with sitting, the posture that most people associate with meditation. Sitting has long been the foundation of mindfulness practice. Yet in our culture it is often misunderstood. Many believe that sitting is about achieving perfect silence or clearing the mind of all thoughts. Others approach it with the idea that stillness is an escape from reality, a retreat from the difficulties of the world. In truth, sitting is neither escape nor suppression. Sitting is an arrival. It is the moment when you allow yourself to rest fully in being without needing to fix, prove, or achieve anything. Imagine lowering yourself onto a chair at the end of a long day. Instead of turning on a screen or reaching for your phone, you simply sit. You feel the weight of your body supported. you notice the rhythm of your breath. You become aware of the sounds around you, a car passing outside, the hum of an appliance, the faint murmur of voices. Instead of pushing any of it away, you let it be part of the moment. This is sitting as presence. There is also a deeper layer to sitting. In Western culture, we often use sitting as preparation for action. We sit to eat, we sit to work, we sit to wait. Rarely do we sit simply to sit. But when you choose to sit without agenda, you reverse the habit of constant striving. You affirm that your value does not depend on producing or consuming. You remind yourself that you are already enough. This quiet rebellion against the culture of busyness is what makes sitting practice so transformative. A helpful practice while sitting is to let sounds become your anchor. Instead of fighting distraction, invite the environment into your awareness. Hear the sound of the wind, the rustling of leaves, or even the buzz of the city. Notice how sound arises, lingers, and fades. Each sound reminds you of the impermanence of all things, and each sound draws you deeper into the present. Sitting in this way, you discover that silence is not the absence of sound, but the spaciousness in which all sound arises. Standing, rooted like a tree. From sitting, we move to standing. Standing may seem unremarkable at first. We stand in lines, we stand at bus stops, we stand waiting for the elevator. Yet how often are we truly present when standing? More often than not, standing is filled with impatience. We shift our weight, glance at our phones, tap our feet, and silently urge time to move faster. But standing offers a profound opportunity for mindfulness when approached with intention. When you stand with awareness, you become like a tree rooted in the earth. Feel the contact of your feet on the ground. Imagine roots extending downward, anchoring you to the stability of the earth itself. Notice your spine lengthening upward, as though reaching toward the sky. In this posture, you embody both groundedness and openness. The strength of a tree is not rigid but flexible. It bends with the wind yet remains firmly rooted. So too can you learn to stand in the storms of life without being swept away. In a world dominated by speed and movement, standing still can feel uncomfortable, even vulnerable. But this vulnerability is the very gateway to resilience. To stand in stillness without needing distraction is to reclaim your right to exist without justification. You do not have to be moving to be meaningful. You do not have to be producing to be worthy. Your simple presence is enough. Standing can also become a practice of balance, not just physical but emotional. As you align your posture, shoulders relaxed, weight evenly distributed. Notice how your inner state begins to reflect your outer stability. When you feel scattered, take a moment to stand. Let your body remind your mind of its natural balance. In times of stress, standing with awareness can be an act of silent defiance against the chaos around you. You are saying to yourself and the world, I am steady, I am here, I am unshaken. Walking, a journey of returning. Perhaps the most accessible and transformative posture for mindfulness is walking. We walk countless steps every day, often without noticing a single one. Walking becomes a means to an end, a way to move from task to task, a bridge between destinations. But when you turn walking into a practice, it becomes a destination in itself. Each step becomes a return to the present, a chance to experience the miracle of movement, the miracle of being alive. To walk mindfully, you do not need a special path or quiet retreat. You can practice on a city sidewalk, in a grocery store aisle, or across the office floor. The key is attention. Feel the lifting of your foot, the placing of your foot, the shift of weight. Synchronize your steps with your breath if you like. Inhale as one foot rises. Exhale as it returns to the ground. The rhythm becomes a gentle song, a reminder that you are alive and in motion yet fully present. There is a liberating quality to walking meditation. Unlike sitting, it allows the body to move. Unlike standing, it carries you forward. Yet unlike ordinary walking, it is not about getting somewhere. Walking mindfully teaches you that the journey itself is home. Each step is complete. Each step is enough. This realization can transform the way you live. No longer do you postpone peace until you arrive at some imagined future. Peace is here, available in this very step. Walking also offers a chance to rewrite the rhythm of your life. In a society that pushes you to move faster and faster, mindful walking slows the tempo. It tells your nervous system that it is safe to relax. It retrains your mind to find satisfaction not in reaching the next milestone, but in savoring the path itself. When you practice walking in this way, you are not just exercising your legs, you are exercising your capacity for presence, patience, and joy. Lying down, resting into wholeness. The fourth posture is lying down, the most overlooked, and yet perhaps the most essential in our restless culture. We tend to lie down only to sleep, often collapsing into bed after exhausting ourselves with endless activity. But lying down can be a profound practice of mindfulness in its own right. It is the posture of surrender, of letting go of striving, and simply resting in the support of the earth. To practice mindful lying down, stretch out on your back, arms at your sides, palms open. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the surface beneath you. Notice how every part of you is supported without effort. This simple awareness can dissolve layers of tension you did not even know you were holding. As you breathe, imagine each exhale as a wave washing away fatigue, each inhale as a tide bringing renewal. Lying down is also the posture in which the body repairs itself most deeply. By bringing awareness to this process, you transform rest from unconscious escape into conscious healing. Instead of seeing rest as wasted time, you begin to recognize it as sacred. You honor the body for its work, you thank it for carrying you, and you give it permission to release the burdens of the day. There is another layer of healing in lying down. Many people carry old wounds and traumas that resurface when they finally become still. Resting in awareness allows those hidden pains to rise gently into the light, where they can be acknowledged without judgment. You learn to hold your pain as tenderly as you hold your joy. This balanced embrace is what makes lying down practice so transformative. It is not about escape, but about welcoming every part of yourself into the home of your awareness. Living presence in every posture, sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. At first glance, these may seem like ordinary states of being, yet when infused with mindfulness, they become extraordinary gateways to presence. Together, they form a complete circle of practice that can accompany you through every part of your day. You do not need to set aside special time for meditation, though that can be valuable. Instead, you can weave awareness into the fabric of your daily life. When you sit, let it be an arrival. When you stand, let it be rootedness. When you walk, let it be a journey home. When you lie down, let it be surrender into wholeness. Each posture carries its own lesson, its own medicine. Sitting teaches patience. Standing teaches resilience. Walking teaches joy in the journey. Lying down teaches rest and healing. Together, they remind you that mindfulness is not limited to rare moments of practice. It is a way of living embodied through your very posture. The true beauty of practicing mindfulness in these four states is its inclusiveness. Anyone, regardless of age, health, or circumstance, can participate. A young professional overwhelmed by deadlines can practice sitting with presence during a lunch break. An elderly person with limited mobility can find grounding through mindful standing. A parent can transform a walk with a child into a journey of presence. Someone recovering from illness can embrace mindful lying down as a source of healing. Mindfulness is not a privilege of the few, it is the birthright of all. When you integrate presence into these postures, your life begins to shift in subtle but profound ways. Moments that once felt empty become filled with richness. Waiting in line becomes an opportunity to practice patience. Walking to the bus becomes a meditation. Resting at night becomes a conscious act of renewal. Slowly, the boundaries between practice and life dissolve. Your life itself becomes the practice. This is the invitation of the four postures. To bring awareness not just to what you do, but to how you are. To discover that the ordinary holds the extraordinary. To find that peace does not come from adding something new, but from fully inhabiting what is already here. Sitting, standing, walking, lying down, these are not just positions of the body. They are doorways into presence, each leading you home. Breaking the habit of constant running, stopping, teaches us to come home. Living presence in sitting, standing, walking, and lying down shows us how to embody peace in daily life. Yet there is a deeper challenge that often keeps us trapped: the habit of running. Running is not only something we do with our bodies, it is a pattern woven into our thoughts, emotions, and culture. We run because we believe that what we need is somewhere else, that the life we want is waiting just beyond the next achievement, the next purchase, or the next moment. But running is a prison disguised as progress. The roots of habit energy. Every human being carries what Buddhist teachers call habit energy. It is the momentum of our past, the ingrained patterns that push us to repeat the same behaviors without conscious choice. For many of us, this habit energy takes the form of running. It may be running towards success, running away from failure, running after pleasure, or running from pain. Regardless of the direction, the energy is the same. We cannot rest because we believe rest is unsafe. Habit energy often begins in childhood. Perhaps you grew up in a family where love was given only when you achieved something. Perhaps you learned to keep moving in order to avoid criticism or punishment. Maybe you were taught that to be valuable, you had to be useful. These lessons sink deep into the subconscious, and even decades later, you may find yourself unable to stop. You push yourself at work, in relationships, in personal goals, because somewhere inside you fear that if you pause, you will no longer be worthy. There is also the influence of culture. In Western societies, productivity has become a religion. From an early age, children are rewarded for grades, trophies, and accomplishments rather than presence or kindness. Adults are measured by their output, by how much they earn, by how many tasks they complete. Social media magnifies this by creating endless comparisons, each scroll whispering that you are behind. This cultural pressure reinforces the habit of running, convincing you that if you stop, you will fall behind and be left out. Running from pain and from joy. One of the most striking insights about running is that we do not only run from suffering, we also run from happiness. When something beautiful happens, a moment of love, a sunrise, the laughter of a friend, we often feel a flicker of fear. What if this ends? What if I lose it? That fear causes us to distance ourselves from the very joy we crave. Instead of resting in the beauty of the moment, we rush to capture it, to post it, to preserve it, or we rush past it convinced it cannot last. Running robs us not only of peace but also of joy. The habit of running creates a cycle of dissatisfaction. You tell yourself that peace will come after you finish this project, after you buy this house, after you reach this milestone. Yet when you get there, peace does not arrive. The moment is already consumed by the next chase. Life becomes an endless ladder, each rung promising satisfaction but never delivering it. Breaking this cycle requires more than willpower. It requires a deep shift in perception, the recognition that nothing outside you can give the peace you seek if you cannot rest in this very moment. The courage to stop. Breaking the habit of running begins with courage. It is not easy to stop when your entire life has been built on motion. Stopping may feel dangerous at first. Old fears surface. You may feel anxiety, boredom, or even panic. These are the withdrawal symptoms of a mind addicted to constant movement. Just as the body shakes when breaking from a drug, the mind shakes when breaking from running. But if you can stay with the discomfort, something new begins to emerge. Beneath the agitation is a deeper stillness, a stillness that has been waiting for you all along. The practice is simple, though not always easy. Each time you notice yourself rushing, pause. Ask yourself, what am I running from? What am I running toward? Often, the answer will surprise you. You may realize you are running from a feeling of inadequacy or toward a mirage of approval. By naming the habit, you begin to weaken its hold. Habit energy thrives in the dark. When brought into the light of awareness, it loses much of its power. Small acts of resistance, breaking the cycle of running, does not happen overnight. It is not about quitting your job or abandoning your responsibilities. It begins with small acts of resistance, gentle rebellions against the culture of speed. For example, choose to walk slowly to your car instead of rushing. Eat one meal without distraction, tasting each bite as if it were the first time. When a conversation lulls, resist the urge to check your phone. These small acts seem insignificant, but they are seeds of freedom. Each time you refuse to run, you plant a seed of presence that can grow into a forest of peace. These small practices also send a powerful message to your nervous system. They tell your body that it is safe to relax, that you do not need to be on constant alert. Over time, this rewires your stress response. Instead of living in a constant state of fight or flight, you begin to inhabit a state of rest and repair. Your body heals more easily, your mind becomes clearer, and your relationships deepen because you are actually present. Running and relationships. The habit of running does not only affect individuals, it also shapes our relationships. When you are always rushing, you are never truly with the people you love. You may sit across from a partner, a child, or a friend, but your mind is already racing ahead. You nod while thinking of your to-do list. You smile while checking your phone. The message you send, often without realizing it, is "I am not really here." Over time, this erodes trust and intimacy. Breaking the habit of running in relationships means offering the gift of presence. It means putting down the phone and listening fully. It means not rushing to fix or advise, but simply being with another in their experience. When you do this, something miraculous happens. The other person feels seen. They feel valued not for what they do, but for who they are. Presence becomes the most profound form of love, the marketplace of distraction. To understand why running is so pervasive, we must also acknowledge the marketplace that profits from it. Entire industries are built on keeping you restless. Advertising thrives on convincing you that happiness is one purchase away. Technology companies design apps to keep your attention constantly moving. Even the wellness industry can become another form of running, promising peace through endless programs and products. Recognizing this can be liberating. It allows you to see that the pressure to run is not entirely your fault. You are living in a system that benefits from your dissatisfaction. The act of stopping then becomes a form of rebellion, a refusal to be manipulated. Each time you choose presence over distraction, you withdraw energy from the machine of restlessness. You reclaim your freedom not only for yourself, but as a statement to the culture around you. Stopping is not passivity. It is a powerful act of resistance, a declaration that you will not let your life be consumed by endless chasing. Embracing enough. At the heart of breaking the cycle of running is the realization of enough. Running is fueled by the belief that you are not enough, that your life is not enough, that this moment is not enough. When you begin to taste presence, you discover the radical truth that you are already complete. This does not mean you will never grow or change. It means that your worth is not conditional on growth or change. You are enough in this breath, in this step, in this heartbeat. Living from enoughness changes everything. Instead of chasing relationships to fill a void, you share love from fullness. Instead of working to prove your value, you work to express your gifts. Instead of consuming to numb dissatisfaction, you consume mindfully aware of what truly nourishes you. Enoughness dissolves the illusion that peace is elsewhere. It reveals that peace has been here all along, waiting patiently for you to stop running, returning again and again. Breaking the habit of running is not a one-time achievement. It is a practice that unfolds over a lifetime. There will be days when you forget, when you fall back into the cycle of chasing and fleeing. That is not failure. Each time you notice and return, you strengthen the muscle of awareness. Each return is a victory. The habit of running may be strong, but your capacity to return is stronger. Remember, even the act of reading these words is an act of stopping. For these few moments, you are not running. You are here, present with your breath, your body, your awareness. This is the beginning. From here, you can practice in small ways each day, gradually loosening the grip of habit energy until presence becomes your natural state, the freedom beyond running. Imagine a life where you no longer need to chase peace. Imagine waking in the morning and greeting the day not with anxiety but with gratitude. Imagine working not from compulsion but from creativity. Imagine relationships where you are fully there, savoring each shared moment without rushing to the next. Imagine resting at night not as collapse but as surrender into wholeness. This is the freedom that waits beyond running. It does not require dramatic change. It does not require abandoning your responsibilities. It requires only that you stop believing peace is somewhere else. It requires the courage to rest in this moment, to trust that you are enough, to remember that home is already within you. The habit of running may have shaped your past, but it does not have to shape your future. The choice is in your hands, in your breath, in your very next step. Breathing and the body as the inner teacher. Up to this point, we have explored the power of stopping the wisdom hidden in the 4 postures, and the necessity of breaking free from the endless habit of running. But there is another doorway into presence, one so close to us that we often overlook it. That doorway is the breath. Breathing is the most constant rhythm of our lives, yet it is also the most ignored. We breathe thousands of times each day, usually without notice, as if it were too ordinary to matter. But in truth, the breath is not ordinary at all. It is a miracle, a living bridge between body and mind, a teacher available in every moment if only we pause to listen. The breath as anchor. When the mind is restless, when emotions are stormy, when the body is tense, the breath is always there, steady and faithful. It is the anchor that keeps you from being swept away. The simple act of noticing your breath can change everything. Imagine you are overwhelmed at work, drowning in deadlines and pressure. You pause, close your eyes and feel one full inhale. You sense the cool air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, expanding your chest. Then you follow the exhale as the body softens, as tension drains away like water leaving a vessel. In that single cycle, you remember you are alive. You remember you are more than your stress. The breath does not ask for perfection. It asks only for awareness. You do not need to control it or force it into patterns. Simply noticing is enough. Each inhale whispers, "I am alive." Each exhale answers, "I release." Over time, these whispers grow louder than the noise of anxiety. They become the soundtrack of presence, a reminder that you do not have to run anywhere to find peace. Peace is in the rise and fall of your breath. Smiling to the body breath also becomes a way to connect with the body, not as a machine, but as a companion. One practice is to breathe in while silently saying, breathing in, I relax my body. Breathe out and say, breathing out, I smile to my body. At first, this may seem strange. Why smile to your body? But when you consider how often we criticize our bodies, how often we push them, judge them, or ignore them, the idea of smiling becomes radical. It is an act of kindness, of reconciliation. Imagine thanking your heart for beating tirelessly since the day you were born. Imagine smiling to your lungs for carrying oxygen through every joy and every grief. Imagine offering gratitude to your eyes for all the beauty they have shown you, to your legs for every journey they have taken you on. This is not mere imagination. Science shows that when you bring attention and appreciation to parts of your body, stress hormones decrease and healing accelerates. Your body listens. Your breath carries the message of kindness to every cell. The body's hidden wisdom. The body is often treated as an obstacle to spiritual life, something to be transcended. But in truth, the body is a gateway. It is constantly speaking, constantly teaching. The ache in your shoulders tells you where you are carrying burdens. The tightness in your chest reveals unspoken fears. The flutter in your stomach shows you where excitement or anxiety lives. If you learn to listen, the body becomes a guide far wiser than the restless mind. Breath is the language the body uses to speak. When you are calm, the breath is slow and deep. When you are anxious, it becomes shallow and rapid. When you are peaceful, the breath flows smoothly like a gentle stream. By paying attention to these patterns, you learn to recognize your state of being without judgment. And with awareness comes choice. If you notice your breath is short and tight, you can invite a deeper inhale, a slower exhale. You can guide the body gently back to balance. A ritual of gratitude. Breath and body together can become a daily ritual of gratitude. Before beginning your day, take a few minutes to sit quietly. Place your hands on your chest and feel the rise and fall. Whisper thank you to your heart, your lungs, your body. Let the words be carried by your breath into every cell. In the evening, as you lie down to rest, repeat the practice. Let gratitude be the last thing your body hears before sleep. Over time, this ritual reshapes your relationship with yourself. Instead of treating your body as something to control you, begin to treat it as a beloved friend. Healing through awareness. Many people carry unspoken wounds in their bodies. Trauma, stress, and grief often lodge themselves in muscles, in posture, in the very breath itself. We may not even know we are holding these burdens until awareness reveals them. A tight jaw, clenched fists, shallow breathing, these are not just physical states, but emotional ones. By bringing breath into these places, by sending awareness and kindness, you begin to release what has been trapped. Healing does not always require dramatic interventions. Sometimes it requires only the courage to breathe gently into the places that hurt. This is why lying down with awareness can be so powerful. As you feel the body fully supported, you can guide the breath into each part. Inhale into the chest, exhale and soften the chest. Inhale into the belly, exhale and release tension. Inhale into the legs, exhale and let them sink heavy into the ground. Slowly, layer by layer, the body lets go. Breath is not just air. It is life's way of washing you clean from the inside. Reclaiming the present breath is also the most immediate way to reclaim the present. Thoughts pull us into the past and future. Emotions sweep us into regret or fear. But breath only exists now. You cannot breathe yesterday's breath. You cannot inhale tomorrow's. You can only breathe this one here now. Each conscious breath is a doorway back to the present. No matter how far the mind has wandered, breath is always waiting to guide you home. Consider the moments in your life when you felt completely present, perhaps watching the ocean, holding a newborn, listening to music that moved you. In each of those moments, you were aware of your breath, even if unconsciously. The rhythm of breath synchronized with the rhythm of life, anchoring you in a timeless state. By practicing with awareness, you can bring this sense of presence into ordinary days. Washing dishes, walking to work, answering emails, all can become gateways into now if accompanied by conscious breathing. Breath as resistance. In a culture of speed and distraction, breathing mindfully is an act of resistance. It is a way of saying no to the forces that profit from your restlessness. Advertisements may tell you that peace is a product you must buy. Technology may demand your attention every second. Society may urge you to keep moving. But each time you pause to breathe, you refuse. You claim your life as your own. Breath becomes not only personal healing but social defiance. You remind the world that human beings are not machines. We are living, breathing creatures meant to inhabit our moments fully, teaching others through presence. When you live in awareness of breath and body, you also teach without words. Your presence becomes a mirror for others. A child sitting beside a calm parent learns calm not from lectures but from the rhythm of shared breathing. A friend in crisis feels steadier in your presence because your breath communicates safety. Even in crowded workplaces, your centered breathing can influence the atmosphere. Energy is contagious. By breathing with awareness, you spread peace quietly, invisibly, yet powerfully. Returning to simplicity. At its core, the practice of breathing with awareness is about returning to simplicity. It strips away the complexity of self-improvement programs, the endless search for answers outside. It shows you that the most profound transformation is already available in something as simple as an inhale and an exhale. Each breath is a reminder that life itself is a gift. Each breath is an invitation to begin again. Think of all the times in your life when you wished for a fresh start. Breath gives you one with every cycle. Inhale, beginning. Exhale, release. With each breath, you are reborn, given another chance to be present, to choose differently, to live more fully. This truth is so simple that the mind often overlooks it, searching for something more complex. But in simplicity lies the greatest wisdom, the body as sacred ground. As you deepen your relationship with breath, you also deepen your relationship with the body. No longer is it just flesh and bone to be managed. It becomes sacred ground, the temple of your experience. Every sensation is a doorway into presence. The ache of muscles after a long walk, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of food as you chew slowly, all are invitations to come home to the body. By honoring the body, you honor life itself. This shift changes how you care for yourself. You begin to eat not just for fuel, but with gratitude. You move not just for fitness, but with joy. You rest not out of guilt, but with reverence. The body ceases to be an enemy or a project. It becomes an ally, a companion, a wise teacher whispering lessons through sensation and breath. Living with the inner teacher. Ultimately, the breath and the body together form the inner teacher. Unlike external teachers, this one is always with you. It does not demand fees, rituals, or conditions. It requires only that you listen. Each time you breathe consciously, you attend a lesson. Each time you smile to your body, you strengthen the bond with your inner teacher. Over time, this relationship becomes the foundation of your life. You no longer need to run endlessly after wisdom. You carry wisdom within your chest, rising and falling with each breath, reconnecting with community and shared healing. Up until now, the journey has been deeply personal. We have spoken about stopping to come home, living presence in every posture, breaking the cycle of constant running and learning to breathe with awareness so the body itself becomes a teacher. But the path of mindfulness does not end with the self. To stop, to breathe, to come home within yourself is already transformative. But healing reaches its true depth only when it ripples outward into the lives of others. Human beings are not isolated islands. We are part of a vast ocean of relationships. To heal individually is important, but to heal together is essential. The myth of the isolated self, Western culture often glorifies the individual. We are told to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, to prove our worth through personal achievement, to pursue independence as the highest goal. Yet beneath this story lies a profound loneliness. We can succeed outwardly and still feel empty inwardly if we believe we must carry life alone. The truth is that no one is ever truly separate. Each breath depends on the trees that cleanse the air, the farmers who grow food, the countless unseen hands that make our lives possible. To imagine we live in isolation is to forget the reality of interconnection. Mindfulness reminds us that community is not optional. It is the very fabric of existence. Just as no cell can survive outside the body, no human being thrives outside community. Even when we retreat inward, the purpose is not to cut ties, but to strengthen the way we return to others. The peace you cultivate within yourself becomes nourishment for the people around you. The ripple effect of presence. Think about the last time you were with someone who radiated calm. Perhaps it was a friend who listened without judgment, or a mentor who remained steady in a crisis. Their presence affected you. You may have felt your shoulders relax, your breath deepen, your mind slow down. This is the ripple effect of mindfulness. When you stop running, when you breathe with awareness, when you inhabit your body fully, others feel it. They may not know why, but they sense safety. The opposite is also true. Anxiety is contagious. Restlessness spreads. When we are caught in fear or haste, those around us absorb it. Families inherit stress across generations, not only through words but through presence. Children feel the unease of parents. Partners mirror the agitation of each other. Communities absorb the energy of their leaders. To heal yourself is therefore not selfish. It is one of the greatest gifts you can give. Each conscious breath is a small act of service, a way of offering calm into a world desperate for it. Shared practices of peace. Communities that heal together create powerful transformations. In many traditions, people gather to sit in silence, to breathe, to walk slowly as one. At first glance, such practices may seem simple, almost too simple, but their power lies in collective intention. When many bodies breathe together, when many hearts settle into presence at the same time, the energy multiplies. The stillness becomes palpable. Even newcomers who struggle to meditate on their own find it easier in a group. The collective presence holds them like a current, carrying them downstream. You do not need a temple or monastery to experience this. Families can gather around a dinner table and begin with one shared breath. Colleagues can pause before a meeting to stand silently for a moment. Friends can walk slowly together in a park, synchronizing steps without speaking. These small acts weave mindfulness into the fabric of relationships. They remind everyone that they belong to something larger than themselves. Healing generational wounds. Shared mindfulness also has the power to heal old wounds that stretch across generations. Many families carry patterns of trauma, anger, neglect, fear that repeat again and again. Parents pass unhealed pain to children who then pass it to their own children. Breaking these cycles requires not only individual awareness but collective healing. Imagine a parent pausing before reacting in anger, taking a breath, and choosing instead to listen. Imagine children learning not only math and history but also how to recognize their emotions, how to breathe when upset, how to sit quietly when overwhelmed. Imagine communities where silence is not awkward but sacred, where people gather not only to consume but to be present together. These shifts may seem small, but over time they rewrite history. They plant seeds of peace that future generations can harvest. The courage to be vulnerable. Reconnecting with community also demands vulnerability. It is one thing to breathe alone in your room. It is another to breathe openly with others, to let your presence be witnessed. Many of us fear this exposure. We hide behind masks of competence, busyness, or detachment. To drop the mask feels risky. But true community is built not on perfection but on authenticity. When you show up as you are, tired, joyful, broken, healing, you give others permission to do the same. Vulnerability becomes the soil in which genuine connection grows. Breath and presence help here too. When you breathe consciously in the presence of others, you anchor yourself. You resist the urge to perform or impress. You embody the radical truth that being is enough. In doing so, you invite others to remember their own enoughness. A community built on this foundation becomes a sanctuary where people feel safe to be human. Social healing through presence. Beyond families and friendships, mindfulness has a role in addressing larger social wounds. Many societies are fractured by division, inequality, and mistrust. In such environments, words often fail. Arguments harden positions rather than softening them. But presence communicates beyond words. When people from different backgrounds gather to breathe together, something shifts. Labels and judgments fall away, if only for a moment. What remains is shared humanity, the recognition that we all long for peace, safety, and dignity. This is not to say mindfulness alone solves systemic problems. Structural change is necessary, but presence provides the ground from which such change can grow. Without it, activism risks becoming another form of running fueled by anger alone. With it, action is rooted in compassion and clarity. Communities that combine mindful presence with committed action become forces of genuine transformation, a wider circle of belonging. As mindfulness deepens, the sense of community expands. At first, you may feel it only with close friends or family, but gradually, the circle widens. You begin to feel connected to strangers on the street, to people in distant countries, even to the natural world itself. Breathing with awareness, you realize you share this rhythm with every living creature. The trees breathe in what you breathe out. The ocean carries the same molecules of oxygen that fill your lungs. Presence reveals that community is not limited to human beings, but embraces all of life. This realization changes how you act in the world. You become more careful with the earth because you recognize it as part of yourself. You become more compassionate toward others because you see that their suffering is not separate from your own. You begin to live not as an isolated individual, but as a member of a vast, interdependent family of life. This is the fullest expression of coming home not only to yourself, but to the entire web of existence. Everyday acts of connection. Community is not built only in grand gestures. It is built in everyday acts of presence. When you look someone in the eyes and truly listen, you weave connection. When you take a conscious breath before responding in anger, you protect the bond of trust. When you pause to smile at a neighbor, when you hold the door for a stranger, when you share silence instead of filling it with noise, you are practicing communal mindfulness. These small acts accumulate. Over time, they shape the culture around you. Imagine a neighborhood where people greet each other with awareness instead of distraction. Imagine schools where students begin the day with a few mindful breaths. Imagine workplaces where meetings start with silence rather than rush. These are not fantasies. They are possibilities waiting to be chosen. Each of us has the power to plant seeds of such a culture, one breath, one act, one presence at a time, the full circle of healing. We began this journey by acknowledging the restless pace of modern life, the endless running that keeps us from peace. We explored the power of stopping, the wisdom of postures, the necessity of breaking the cycle, and the healing found in breathing with awareness. Now, in reconnecting with community, the circle closes. Healing begins within, but it blossoms fully when shared. Peace cultivated alone becomes fragile. Peace rooted in community becomes resilient. The final lesson is this: mindfulness is not only about personal well-being. It is about belonging. It is about remembering that you are part of something larger. When you stop not only for yourself, but for your ancestors who could not. When you breathe not only for your own healing, but for your children and grandchildren. When you find peace, you find it not only for your own heart, but for the world aching for relief. An invitation to live together differently. The invitation is simple but profound. Live your life as a shared practice. Let your breath feed not only your own body, but the body of the community. Let your presence remind others of their own. Let your healing ripple outward into every relationship, every interaction, every space you inhabit. You do not need to preach or persuade. You need only to be present. The rest will follow. When you live this way, you discover that community itself becomes a teacher. Others reflect your growth, challenge your blind spots, and remind you of truths you forget. Just as your breath teaches you to return, your community teaches you to stay connected, to keep widening the circle of compassion. Together, you and those around you become co-creators of a different kind of world. One not built on endless running and isolation, but on presence, healing, and shared humanity. Conclusion. Returning home together. We have traveled through many layers of this journey, from the first radical act of stopping to the quiet wisdom found in the body and breath, from breaking the cycle of constant running to discovering that true healing blossoms fully when it is shared with community. Each step has revealed that peace is not a distant prize, but a present reality, waiting to be noticed. The destination is not somewhere far away. It is here. It is now. Stopping taught us to reclaim the present, to see that we are already home, if we have the courage to pause. The 4 postures, sitting, standing, walking, and lying down, showed us that every ordinary moment carries the potential for extraordinary presence. Breaking the habit of running reminded us that we do not need to chase peace, because peace is not earned through striving. It is found in enoughness. Breathing and smiling to the body opened a door to gratitude, revealing that our bodies are not machines to be criticized, but companions to be honored. Finally, reconnecting with community showed us that healing is not complete until it is shared, that the peace we cultivate becomes nourishment for everyone around us. These teachings are not abstract ideas. They are practical invitations. Each breath you take is an opportunity to return. Each moment of presence is a seed of healing. Each act of mindfulness ripples outward into your family, your workplace, your community. The world does not need more speed or more distraction. The world needs more people who know how to stop to breathe, to live with awareness, and to remind others of what really matters. So, here is the call to action. Begin where you are. You do not need to wait for perfect conditions. You do not need to retreat to a mountain or escape your responsibilities. You can stop for one breath right now. You can walk slowly to your car. You can stand with rootedness before a difficult conversation. You can smile to your body as you drift to sleep. These small acts are not small at all. They are the building blocks of a new way of living. Do not underestimate the power of presence. One person who is truly present can shift the atmosphere of a room, a family, even a community. Your calm can become a refuge for others. Your breath can remind someone else to breathe. Your choice to stop running can inspire others to question their own pace. In this way, mindfulness becomes more than a personal practice. It becomes a movement of healing that stretches far beyond the individual. As you leave these words behind, carry with you the image of coming home. Home is not a place you must reach. It is not hidden in the future. Home is the ground beneath your feet, the breath in your chest, the beating of your heart. Each time you remember this, you return. Each time you return, you heal. Each time you heal, you invite others to do the same. So take this breath as your beginning. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you. And let it carry you forward, not into endless running, but into the fullness of life lived here and now together.